Hello, my name is Tiffany and I will be reading the CDL pre-trip inspection. Right now I am on the exterior inspection front of the vehicle. So we will look at the lights and reflector condition. So all external lights and reflective equipment are clean, not broken, and are the proper color for their location. We will look at the clearance lights. Those are amber. Headlights, high and low beams, turn signals, emergency four-way flashers, and reflectors. Those are amber as well. Moving on to steering. On the side of your coach, under the driver's side window, you would say, if I could see it, I would inspect it. Steering box and hoses. Check that the steering box is securely mounted and not leaking. Look for any missing nuts or bolts or cotter keys. Power steering hoses and lines are not cracked, worn, frayed, or damaged. Check for leaking power steering fluid in the hoses, lines, and couplings. Next, steering linkage. See that the connecting links, arms, and rods from the steering box to the wheel are not worn or cracked. Check that joints and sockets are not worn or loose, and that there are no missing nuts, bolts, or cotter keys / pins. All right, moving on to the front axle. Next, you would say tires. The following items must be inspected on the tire. So, tread depth. Check for minimum tread depth for 30 seconds. Also, tire condition. Check that the tread is evenly worn. Look for cuts or other damage to tread or sidewalls. Make sure that the valve caps and stems are not missing, broken, or damaged. Tire inflation. Check for proper inflation that would be performed by using a tire gauge. Next, rims. Check for damaged or bent rims. Rims cannot have welding repairs. Next, lug nuts. Check that all lug nuts are present and none are loose. No rust trails around nuts, and there are no cracks radiating from lug bolt holes or distortion of the bolt holes. Moving on, hub oil seals and axle seals. See that the hub oil, grease seals, and axle seals are not leaking. And if the wheel has a sight glass, oil level is adequate. Then, splash guards and mud flaps. If equipped, check the splash guards or mud flaps are not damaged and are securely mounted. Next, you would look at the front brakes. And you would say, if I could see it, I would inspect it. You would point slack adjusters and push rods. Check slack adjuster and push rod for bent, broken, loose, or missing parts. Check for slack adjusters. The brake push rod should not move more than 1 inch with brakes released when pulled by hand. Brake chambers. See that brake chambers are not leaking, cracked, or dented and are mounted securely. Make sure there are no loose or missing clamps. Brake hoses and lines. Check that hoses and lines are not cracked, worn, frayed, or damaged. All connections need to be secure with no leaks in the hoses, lines, and couplings. Check that hoses or lines can supply air. Brake drums and rotors. Check for cracks, dents, or holes. Also check for loose or missing bolts. Check for contaminants and debris such as oil and grease. Next, brake linings and pads. Brake linings should not be worn dangerously thin. Check the brake linings for contaminants such as oil or grease. All right, next it would be the front suspension. This is where you would point to the shock absorbers. See that shock absorbers are secure and there are no leaks. Point to the torque arm. Check torque arms are not damaged and are mounted securely. Point to the airbags. Air ride suspension bags should be checked for no damage or leaks. Point to air mounts. No damage or missing air mounts. While on the side of the vehicle, you will also have lights and reflector condition. Check all external lights and reflectors are clean, not broken, and the proper color for their location. So there you would have your turn signals, emergency four-way flashers, and reflectors. Those are amber. All right. Thank you.